wrong for us to begin thinking in that manner in the country, in this country and era and time, that then the events that the president can attend and the events that he cannot attend. He's the president of the country, he can choose what to do, where to, particularly that funeral. And you know, you cannot block anybody. You don't vet people when it comes to funerals.
Oh, but we saw them blocking. We saw them blocking people.
They cannot be vetted. It's my turn. And I don't think anybody was vetted for that matter. And they were allowed to speak. Mm-hmm. This is a country of free speech. It doesn't scare anyone.
Right.
No one dies when people make their own, and even when they make their political...
I want to get your views on his interpretation that what we saw yesterday is an attempt by the former deputy president to try and work together with the president because of some statements that he made, including welcoming him there.
Well, of course, he wanted to posture and pretend to look like he's the one who was creating peace and managing the crowds for the president. For the president. But you see, Kenyan public are not...
still not getting an answer to my question.
Not answering.
Can I?
Fred, I never answered.
I'll come to you again.
I'm
still not getting your answer.
Kenyan public are not slaves of individuals, and we don't have we don't have monarchies across the tribes in this country. This is a free country. Those who are Kenyan,
Fred,
those who are members of Al-Kalau
Confederation. I never answered that question.
Allow me, go here. You had
because I never answered that.
No.
Allow me to, you know, we saw it. It was all for us to see. There's a clip in which Rigathi Gachagua is actually telling the president, I'm ready, can't remember the exact word, but we can work with you, save for these young people that you are with, okay? My point is this, that was a funeral. Everybody is welcome to the funeral. The family of the deceased actually traced the relationship between the president and their deceased father. And you know, were very, in their mourning, they were very happy to see the president come and mourn with them, okay? Secondly, it is that the president, Rigathi Gachagua, just like any other monarch, was allowed into the funeral, okay? And, you know, it is interesting that my sister is interpreting even the sitting arrangements, is interpreting even...
Oh, yes.
You all seem to be interpreting a lot of things in your own.
My point is, this is not the Rigathi Gachagua that we see with bitterness, you know, with vitriol, with threats, you know, with claiming to be so powerful. This was a Rigathi Gachagua that had collapsed into somebody that recognizes this, the very man he has not recognized for the last 1 or so years.
But Wakili, Rigathi Gachagua yesterday declared himself king of the mountain. This was
Rigathi Gachagua who, you know, reiterated that President William Ruto is still the president of the Republic of Kenya, and that if he has any issues with him, he will solve it later. But then went ahead and said that we can work with you, save for these young people. So that his problem is not...
Well, you refuse to interpret it. Now you agree with him.
Rigathi Gachagua's problem is not the president. He's willing to actually work with the president. His problem is he would want the president to shunt aside the younger politicians from Mount Kenya who are working with the president. And the president did not waste time, responded to that. One told him that you are not going to decide for me when to come to Mount Kenya or not. And you got the applause from the public. The president then told him that, you know, no one should discourage young people from coming up and becoming leaders, and actually encourage young people to come up and get into leadership. My view is that the narrative that Rigathi Gachagua may have wanted to play at that funeral collapsed in the presence and the aura of the president.
Did it really collapse? And that's a question, because now it would appear this funeral has opened up a new battlefront for the mountain, heart and soul of the mountain.
Battlefront?
And yes, between UDA and probably ODA, because of the DStv, because of the anticipated by-election. We had what the deputy president had said before. I know many people did not talk about the by-election, but definitely this is a new battlefront. And the president appears to have recognized that. Do you think that that is what we should be looking at now?
First of all, because you don't want me to weigh in on that, Gachagua did not showcase that he wants to work with the president. You know, one thing a lot of people forget is that Rigathi Gachagua is the most misunderstood politician. And there was an anticipation that he would take the podium and start insulting the president. And one thing that maybe I want to educate, I might be younger than them, but I want to educate my panelists today is that Rigathi Gachagua and all the other 5 principles of the united opposition is a presidential candidate. So there are places where it is expected of you to be presidential. This was one of the places where it was expected by the public for him to be presidential because he's a presidential candidate.
He's a elder.
There are other places. There are other places where he has showcased his presidential nature. Just like Fred Matiang'i, there are places where he would stand and say, "Mimi sijakula kwa bibi yako," and so don't ask me why I'm eating. And there are places, you know, when he's in Chatham House where he is presidential. And this was a place where Rigathi Gachagua had to showcase his ability as a presidential candidate to be presidential. And that's what he was doing. That is why through and through he addressed the president as Mr. President. He never said Kasongo, he never said Kaongo, he never said Pinocchio and all other names that we have given him, because it is a presidential function, right? That does not mean that when we go to the rallies, it's now, oh, now we are trying to work with this guy, he's our friend. It's also the same way he said, you know, I respect you because you are the current president. You are sitting in the seat that I'm trying to sit on. And when I sit on that seat, I expect also everybody to respect me. So that's how any presidential candidate of sound mind would be expected to behave. Now, in terms of saying that the young people, that he was attacking, you know, there's this conversation you've had about him saying that the young people are the ones that are misleading. You know, Gachagua is a truthful man. I have said it as well, that even just as we started this show, I said he was misadvised. Because you don't set yourself up for embarrassment as a president, not a presidential candidate. As a president, you don't seek counsel for people who are telling you, ingia uko watakuona, na uambie wewe ni president, na uambie you know how to work with the people of Mount Kenya. Now those people of Mount Kenya who you are saying, mimi si mjinga, I know how to work with you, I know, they're not also stupid. They're looking at you and they're thinking, how about ask us how to work with us? Humility, bring yourself down. So at one point, this thing about young people, what iked me the most, when he said, allow young people, do not threaten young people. You know, I'm 40 years old in May. That man, William Ruto, threatened me and literally threw me out of office. So he should first heed his own advice. Okay. He has silenced all the young people. Let me ask you, other than Kimani Ichung'wah, Osoro, and Aaron Cheriot, show me other young politicians who can speak freely. All right. So let him take his advice, first of all, about young people.
And I'll take you back to that issue of a new battlefront with the impending by-election there. And because yesterday, it appeared more like a supremacy battle. The president insisting he has his own way of engaging with his people. Of course, we know that UDA is preparing for the by-election. Of course, it will come. And DCP is doing the same. Definitely is now down to a supremacy battle about the heart and soul of Mount Kenya. After the Mbeere North by-election, this is the next one, Olkalau.
Yeah, of course.